Hello, hello, hello. It's Anne Lewis, your independent Stamping Up demonstrator based on the Sunshine Coast here in Queensland, Australia. Tonight I'm going to be showcasing the gorgeous, amazing Sunflower 3D embossing folder, which is an online exclusive, which has just been released. What's today? The second was released yesterday. I absolutely love it because there's so much to do with it. It's a 3D one, so it has so much texture, detail, and you're going to see how that works tonight. Now, I know a few people are scared, well, not scared, but worry about using 3D embossing folders, but they are super, super easy, and there's so much that you can do with them. Now, I'll just throw you up to me. Wait a minute, where am I? There I am. So, I mean, it's back to really cold, as you can see by my jumper. And there's a fair bit happening because we've got new kits released, we've got new online exclusives released. There's so much happening. So if you can see and hear me, I have a new phone, so technology could be a little challenging. So let me know that you can see and hear me. And for Glenda, yes, Kiko's keeping me company, but she has settled down mainly because I wore her out before I started tonight. So let's come back down to the desk and I'll walk you through a few what we're doing today. So I've got 3 cards I'm going to show you, and I'm hoping it's black. And I know my picture on Facebook looked a little blue, but I just think I took it a little late in the afternoon. So that's 1, that's 2. There's a set of 4, to be honest, but I'm only going to show you 3 tonight. So I'll put those out of the way. I'll put them over here, and I'll show you how I actually made those cards. They're simple cards. Whoops. So I've got my cut and emboss machine. Now, if you are watching, leave a comment, ask any questions. If you're watching on YouTube, also leave questions because I still answer them no matter what. Now, so I've got a piece of basic black cardstock and I've cut it at 8.5 inches by 6, which is basically the size of the embossing folder. Now, we have a few 3D embossing folders and they're all amazing. And there's a new Christmas one out called, I think it's called Jolly Holly, which you'll also see me. So I've just dropped it in the embossing folder. Wait a minute. So you can now see it. And you can see how much gorgeous detail there is actually in this. So, idea. So now I'm just going to I'll grab the platforms that you will need. Now, the first one you'll need is platform 1, and the only other one is platform 4 because it's a 3D embossing folder. So it's pretty thick. I'm hoping you can see that. So I'm going to line it up. Now, if you're not used to our embossing folders, this is where the fold is. Always feed the fold in first, and that looks after your embossing folder because there's a fair bit of pressure on this. And this way it doesn't actually rip at the fold. Rightio. This is going to be a little harder for me because my wrist is a little... I'm just going to move this back. And I'm going to... It's not as hard as I make it out. It's because I've got a shoulder that's stuffed and a wrist that I've broken a couple of times. So here we go. That job was done. Now, to do these cards, I would recommend that you actually emboss 2 of these sheets. Now, the one where in most of our embossing folders, where the Stamping Up label is the top of it, or the right side of it, as you'll see when I pull this out. And I'm hoping you're going to be able to see how gorgeous that texture is. So hi Lynette, hi Marianne. And I did one before, so you didn't see me struggling twice. Now, actually what I want to do, I'm just going to put them there. Oh no, I'll do another step. Now all I've done to get this really great texture on here that you can see is all I've done is run some pigment ink over it. So the pigment ink comes in a case like this, and you get a re-inker with it. So you can re-ink it. I can just see a bit of ink on there. That'll go everywhere. And I have re-inked mine, but I did it a couple of hours ago so it would soak in, because I didn't want it sitting at the top. Otherwise, it'd just be maybe just a little bit too much. Now, also want to show you that this ink really soaks in. So it looks really vibrant when you first put it on, but it does actually soak in. So I always put a few different layers on it. So let's just, this is a lot brighter now I've re-inked it. So all I'm doing is running very gently, running it over the top of the embossed cardstock. And I'll show you what it looks like, but I'm going to run it over a few times because I want that contrast, and you can see the contrast. I do go in a couple of different directions. I would probably go over it at least 3 times. I'm not tapping. I'm not going tuk, tuk, tuk. I'm just, did you like that? Do you go tuk, tuk, tuk? Ideo. And start just kind of off the page and run it through. Now, also, you'll notice you'll get it on your hands because it's wet. So I would let it dry before you start cutting it. So I would apply the ink first, like this, then do your cutout. You see I turn the page. So you can see how simple this is. As I said, other than it get going on your fingers. Just remember also, that's going to fade because that's quite definite. So I'm going to add a little bit more because it does soak into the page. And this will be my last layer on both. With 2 done like this, and as I said, you can use any leftovers on other projects. So it's not going to go to waste. And you can see how gorgeous that is. So I'm going to stop it there. And hasn't that jumped off the page? Now, just give me a second. I'm just going to grab, as I call them, a stamper's wipe. But you'd buy them as baby wipes. So I've got all that off my hand, but I'm going to leave it around because as I handle this, I'm going to pick up some more. Ideo. So my first card, and I'm just going to do them one at a time. So the first one features that image there. So see that, the big flower there? That's why I do a second one. And I did find I made a mistake and I then had some space. So all I'm going to do on this is cut out that one. Now remember, mine's going to be a little wet, so it's going to cut out a little different. Oh, one thing I want to do, sorry, is I want to cut in down one side, and I'll show you which side that is. I'm going to cut 1 3/4 inches off that piece, and you'll see what I do with that piece in a second. I know. So there's my piece. There's that flower. So now I'll show you this, because already you can see the difference, because this one hasn't dried yet, and it will soak in and it will change to this color in all probability. Now I'm just going to throw up in a minute the measurements for this card. So if you can take a screenshot. If not, I will be adding these to both Facebook and online. But sometimes it seems to take me a couple of days to do that, no matter how hard I try. Okay, so there you go. Now we're coming back to where we're going now. This piece here, we're cutting out at 3 1/4 inches. Now, one of the things to remember when you're embossing is to get all this texture, it does suck in a little bit of your space. So I like to emboss it first, but you can go the other way and you'll just have slightly bigger borders. So I'm just going to have a play. On the first time I did this, I just cut out a piece that was the right size, which was 3 1/4. Got white ink all over that because it's still a bit wet. I'm just going to just double check the measurement of this. 3 1/4. I don't. So there's my piece. Now, what makes this card, to be honest, is just the layers. So that's what I've cut out. Now, don't die cut it after you've embossed if you want to die cut it, because it'll just flatten all that beautiful detail. I know. So I'll put this one that I'm doing. So this is card 1. Let's grab my layers. So my first layer, let's find my piece of paper, is 8 1/2 inches by 4 1/4. Now I did 8 1/2, and well, I did 4 1/4. So you only get one out of an A4 sheet. I've used 12 by 12 sheet, but I did that because I wanted that really big border. And if I cut it back to 4 1/8, it was not going to get that big border. So it's one of those things where I've designed it to give it a wow. But you could cut it down. So my next piece is basic black, 4 1/8 inch square. And then my basic white layer is 3 3/8 inches. So I can just add this here. Now, because mine's a little wet, remember I said it hasn't dried yet. So it did leave a little bit of a furry bit there. And when it's wet, you've just got to be careful with how you cut it. As I said, really embossed, heavily embossed, so you need to make sure your adhesive goes around the edge, into the corners. You may have to use just a smidgen more than what you would normally. Now, because it's embossed, I don't want to press it too much. So the way I actually do that is just grab a bone folder, and that way it's all glued. I can then add that there. I'm going to use some dimensionals. I can find some. Obviously, I'm getting to the end of a pack. Be good to finish these up. So in every one of these, I popped up that top layer. You'll see how quick this is because you can cut. I've kept all the cards, the sizes, other than the very top layer, exactly the same. So you can basically do a bit of a bulk cutout. Get rid of that paper over here. I don't. As I said, this will. Yeah. Place this on here, and you can see just having that contrast how much it makes this card pop. And how easy is this technique? Now, I've done it in black, and mainly because I think the black pops, and there's another reason which you'll discover in a second why I did it. And I kept those white borders small to add the drama. Trying to get that. I know. Now, I'm going to find somewhere. I'm going to use the Greetings for All Mix and Match Ephemera Pack, because this is just perfect for this card. And you can see I used Congratulations. I'm not sure. I've got a few packs of this. This one I did use a black because it seemed to work a little better. I have really flogged. Do I put a sorry? No, that one doesn't work. Sometimes you've got to just play because the colours do change. Well, I've got another Congratulations. So, or Thinking of You. Maybe that one will work. Might be a little tiny, but we'll see. No, Thinking of You looks good and adds a little bit of change up. But I'll need some mini dimensionals for it. And let's see if I can. See if I can fit these on. Might have to trim this. This is how I do it. If I want a few, I just trim a little border off. Add it on. Oh, need to take some sticky stuff off there. Still in the middle of my house repairs, which is a little challenging. So this is just a, oh, I might put it down there. Yeah, I like it down there. Depending on which sentiment you picked, so you can see the difference. A little hard in the dark. So there's card number 1. See how quick and easy that was. So card number 2 is this one here. So all I've done is cut out squares, and that's why I cut this piece out. This is why I cut this piece out, because this is where my squares will come from. Now, I need 4 squares, as you can see, and they will each be, I know I've made this difficult, and you can adjust it to make it easy if you like, but each one of these squares is 1 inch, 1 9/16 of an inch. I know. Anyway, there's a reason for that. It was the only way to get the border there and the inside border the same and not change my cutout. I know. I probably have to cut another square somewhere. What did I say? 1. Now, Those that don't know how to do 16ths, there's my 1 inch. And then I'm just going to count these. I'm just going to need to go a little closer. Now I can't see a thing, but 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at the ½ inch mark, it is 1 mark. It's just a little mark to the left of that. Oh, I need this. So let's go. I need to turn that around. Actually, before I do that, I need to cut this at that, the width, to get my width right. I'm going to have to clean off my trimmer in a second. Now I get to choose which pieces of these that I like the most. And so I do try and feature which embossed bit I liked. Now this is a long bit, but I can trim it down. Whoops. And then I'll trim it to the right size. Maybe this end I'll trim off. And then I'll show you what my squares look like. I'm going to grab that baby wipe, clean up my hands again. Now, as I said, if you let this dry, you won't have this issue. But that's the thing with live TV. Well, live classes. I know. So there's my squares. So you can see they're all different. So let's start another card because it's so easy. But before I do, I wanted to show you, you say, I don't like black though, Anne. It's too stark for me. You can use any colour that we've got and just put a tone on tone ink. So this is Timid Tiger with Timid Tiger ink. And so it still looks stunning, just doesn't look as dramatic for me. So here we go. Let's pull out our pieces that we need. Now, so these don't all line up to form a picture. I can put them as I like, and I can turn them around once I decide the order. Now, what I always do, oops, way too much adhesive. I hope I said you need a bit, but not that much. You don't want it squishing out on this one. So all I'm doing is spreading it in. I'm just going to wipe the clean up the edge of that. Right. So what I always do is I place it, I work on my corners. And I know you're not going to be able to see that, so let's grab a black piece of cardstock. Oh, this black piece of cardstock would work. All right, so now you can see how I've lined up that corner. So I don't worry about what happens in the middle. I need to make sure that all my lines are straight. So the outside is straight as best I can. A bit hard to line up when I can't see it. Now, a sneaky way, if it then doesn't look perfect in the center, is hide it. Now, I could have put a round not embellishment, sentiment on there, die cut something, but I was trying to use the ephemera pack. So there we go. That's not perfect. Now This is what happens when a camera gets in the way, but there. So I'm again going to pop this up. As I said, this is, anyone can do this, whether you're experienced or you're just starting out, as long as you've got the embossing folder, any embossing folder really, especially a 3D one works. Only a 3D one would work, in my view. Here we go. Oops. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Sharon. I want to take these things off. Now, what I will do with these at the end, which I haven't done yet, is actually put them in a cello bag and make a little gift pack out of them. Now, this will then go on here. You can see how quick and easy this is because you're just using your embossing folder. You don't really need much else. Now I've got to find a sentiment. I'll put it all together first. Now you're going to keep turning this till you find a way that is visually pleasing for you. Turn it over again. Yeah. And on this one, this one here, I used just a note, and I really liked it because it hid that centerpiece or distracted you. So I don't think Best Wishes is going to. Oh yeah, Best Wishes will work. I'll pop it up. Looks a little different. There's so many. I don't know. There's about 10 sheets in that ephemera pack. I could be wrong. What does it say? What does it say on the back? I'm going to say 6 sheets. So I was a little out there. You could decorate the inside of these as you liked. You can see once I put this on, you don't actually see anywhere where it's not absolutely perfect. I know. So the last one, which I'm going to show you today, and I've got a fourth one, which I will show you how I've done it in a second. I just didn't want to show 4 cards. It takes a little too long. And here's my next card base, my basic black, the layer I'm going to work on. Now I actually have a fair bit of this cardstock still left. Remember, I've got this sheet here, and it really will do my number 4 card, which you'll understand once I show you what it actually is. But this one is going to be strips. I'll put this paper out of the way, and I'm again going to be cutting a 3 1/4 inch square. I get to decide where my 3/4 of an inch is going to be. And remember, I'm just going to pull this down. Got to be careful because this will still be a little wet. Not going to keep my full flower this time. Dried off a bit, so that's a lot easier than it was. I might just, I don't know. It's one of those things that you play with a little bit. And then I'm going to cut those squares. I'm just looking at my measurements at 1 inch. I don't know, so I've done this wrong. So I've got to cut this at 3 inches by 3, and so my side measurements have got to be 3 1/4, and this way has to be 3 inches. So I've got that measurement wrong. I'll correct that. So I'll just take that off, and you'll understand why I do that, because I've got 2 more gaps here. So then I'm going to cut this at, so this is now 3 inches, so I'm just going to cut it at 1 inch. Now, to be honest, I fiddled on the first one to make it work. Sometimes you just got to do that when you're designing something. Let's make this picture come together. I think that's how the picture. This is like a jigsaw. Oh, that's it. So let's just glue this together. Again, I'm just going to be making sure my edges are right. I think that one is there. Does. I'll do the 2 outside ones first. Now whoops. Now I keep knocking that around. Now, one of the tricks I used on this is I used a big sentiment. Let's pull out a big sentiment again, because the big sentiment distracts. Here's my thinking of you. I'll use that again, because it distracts from any imperfections that you may have. So I'll pop that up. If I can find, here we go. And you can see how easy these cards are. You could do them in any colour. You could do them in mixed colours. But I do like how the black makes it pop. So remember, I'm going to change, I will update that measurement. What's on my screen is pretty close. And you'd be able to work out how to cut it down anyway. Let's get rid of these. Put it on here. You can see how that big black border just makes this pop so much. So it's actually 3 cards done once you do your cutout in a very short period of time. Now, for those starting out, the hint for how to get borders always correct is that one, and that one. If you've done a cutout, if you make them all even, the bottom one just looks after itself. I haven't actually, I just need to, haven't scored that properly. So I've got to Let's see if I can slide that over just a smidgen now. So I changed. Nope, it's stuck. Rightio. Now, the last one, which I haven't made a card for, so we'll put that, and I'll just put this one on top, is actually I'm going to do a diagonal one, and then I'll add, maybe, I don't know, I haven't even thought about how I'm going to do it. It might even be sending sunshine. So anyway, I would do something like that. So I would have a set of 4 cards. But this one, it was a bit wet and I cut it and it didn't cut properly. So I thought I'll leave that one out, keep to 3 cards for tonight, but you can see what my 4th one is going to be, and I've included the instructions for the 4th. Rightio. So what do you think? Wendy says it's homemade. It's not homemade, it's handmade. Well, it's homemade too. But cards are not going to turn out perfectly. Sometimes you've got to, squizzle them around. Wait a minute, you don't need to see all those. I've done that one a little different. I may have to dig that one upside down, but you didn't notice. You didn't help me. You'll see. Whoops. So I'll turn that around later. It'll pop up. So there's the card set. I would then just put it in you can make a box for them if you like, or you could add a cellophane bag and tie a tag to them using the same embossing folder as a decorative feature. And how stunning are these? So I absolutely love this embossing folder. So much you can do with it. I've picked probably the easiest technique to get these cards done. So, which one? Is there one that you like more? So if I go, let's just put them in order that I made them. So which one would be your favorite out of those? So I'll just show you up close. That's number 1. Number 2, which is 4 squares. So you've got either the square, the 4 squares, or the strips. So leave a little note as to which one you like and whether you like this technique, because as I said, it is such a simple technique. Now, don't forget, I have another class coming up, Christmas in July, on the 27th of July. So I've advertised that. Bit dark for me, says Marianne, so she would use a lighter cardstock. And that works really well. As you can see, I've lost that piece, wherever that timid tiger piece went. Is this it here? There it is. You can see you can make it as bright. And this was just a scrap I had on the table. It wouldn't even be perhaps my favourite colour for this. And also on the first weekend in November, I'm doing the charity day again for Meals on Wheels. So we'll be making Christmas cards. So put it on your diary, put it in your diary, either the first Saturday or the second. Sorry, need to start that again. First Saturday, first Sunday in November. I think it's the 1st and the 2nd of November. So put that in because I need some help so we can make sure that the Meals on Wheels recipients actually get a Christmas card this year. So this will be my 2nd year of doing it, and we had such a fabulous time last year. So Wendy has said, I like that your set has 1, 2, 3, and 4 panels. Yes, and you're right. So you're spot on. I hadn't picked that up. And then, but Wendy's a favourite of number 3. So thank you, everybody. Do like the video because that does help me both on YouTube and on Facebook. If you like the video, certainly not if you didn't. But it does really help me and spreads the video a little further, and a few more people get to see and get inspired by this beautiful embossing folder. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you dropping by, whether it's on replay or live. And I will be back next week with another exciting and inspiring video to get your keep you crafting. Bye for now. Have a fabulous week. And if you live in Australia, keep warm. If you live in Europe, keep cool. And well, in the Northern Hemisphere, keep cool. But certainly we need to keep warm here at the moment. Bye for now.